The Alloa glassworks at Glasshouse Loan have been in the town since the mid-18th century. Over the years, it has been a mainstay of employment and continues to produce glass products to this day. Commercial glassmaking began in the 17th century when Sir George Hay set up works at East Weems in Fife in 1610, producing windows, glasses and bottles. Yet it wasn't until the Industrial Revolution a century later that the worldwide market opened up for glass. Construction of the works in Alloa were overseen by Lady Frances Erskine, daughter of John Erskine, 6th Earl of Mar, known as Bobbing John, who led the Jacobites at the Battle of Sheriffmuir. She had the consent of her brother Thomas, and construction work took around 18 months to complete. Production began in 1750. She'd been encouraged into the venture by her husband, James Erskine, whom she'd married in 1740, and his father. She knew Alloa was ideally placed for trade and commerce, and in addition, the raw materials to make glass were close at hand. Salt could be brought in from nearby Kennet Pans, although this dried up in the latter part of the 18th century, and sand and kelp from the River Forth. Coal to drive the whole process could be easily transported to the site from the local Mar collieries, thanks to the laying of the wagonway, initiated by Lady Frances, to the harbour. The men involved in the glassmaking process were highly skilled. Lady Erskine brought the renowned Bohemian glassworkers and their families over from Europe in order to oversee the building of the works and to train the local workforce. Initially, only bottles were produced. Made by the craftsmen, the apprentices soon learned the impressive art of glass blowing. Glass blowers would take a blob of glass onto the end of a hollow iron pipe, known as a pontil, and blow into the pipe, forming a bubble of glass. To make it more bottle-shaped, the blower would then roll it on a waxed iron table. He would blow it again, and when it was the right shape and size, it would be placed in a mould, which was in 2 halves. These were then cupped around the blown-up glass and moulded by blowing until it fitted the mould perfectly. When this process was complete, the neck was formed while it was still hot. It was then reheated to stop it from breaking, placed on a tray with other newly formed bottles, and left to cool slowly. The success of the Alloa glassworks depended on the expertise of its workforce. However, with it being such a skilled job, output was never high, and the bottles were simply functional, not decorative. The work was slow, heavy and hard. Being right next to the hot furnace meant that a great care had to be taken to ensure the men's safety. Pay for this type of skilled work was double the average national salary in the 19th century, and the products they produced as time went on were as valuable as silver. Wine from continental Europe was landed at Leith docks in casks, therefore the merchants sought bottles from Alloa to decant it. When the 7 Years' War broke out, sales of glass plummeted as supplies from France were cut off. Hopes were raised that the American colonies would fill the gap, but unrest there, followed by revolution, put paid to that. In 1766, Lady Erskine succeeded to the Erskine title, following the death of her half-brother Thomas, who died without issue. But by this time she was at her wits' end with the business, so passed control to William Dease an Alloa merchant. He was joined by others who were mainly ale bottlers or wine merchants. The site was extended thanks to permission from Lady Erskine, and Dease built workers' cottages, hoping to entice more people to come to the factory. It was a hard job, but slowly the workforce rose in numbers. Due to conflicts on the world stage, wine imports lessened, but the country had another drink that was proving ever more popular, which required bottles. Whisky began to fill the gap in the market, and by the early 1780s, hundreds of unlicensed stills had popped up. This led to a growing demand for bottles, and the Alloa glassworks began to boom. Locally, a distillery was established at Kennet Pans by Andrew Steen around 1770, although run by his son John, and another one was opened 7 years later at CO.AG by James Steen, John's brother. Along with these distilleries, breweries also sprang up. The George Younger Brewery was established in 1762, while Robert Meiklejohn's began production in 1784. The Alloa Glassworks would have been an obvious choice for the bottling of the water of life, as whisky is known, and the Alloa ales. Lady Frances Erskine's glassworks expanded under Dease, with the site increasing to 1.5 acres, and although she died on 20th June 1776, her vision and legacy continues in Alloa's glass production today. If you enjoyed this episode of Scotland's History, please like, comment and subscribe. Until next time, thank you for watching.